Hey kids, welcome back to some more science, some more anatomy science, the study of the body. That's cool. We are going to continue on and learn yet a new system this week. We've learned about your skeletal system, we've learned about your circulatory system, your heart and blood, and we've learned about your lungs, your pulmonary system. And this week is going to be the best week ever because you can use potty words while you watch the lesson. Yep, you heard me right. During this week's science lesson, we're going to be saying words like poop and pee and butt. Yes, all those words that everybody tells you to not say. Those are your potty words. And we're only going to be using them because we're going to be talking about parts of the body and what they do. And you can't do that without using those words. But I do have to say, once this lesson is over, you got to be done using potty words because let's be honest, grown-ups really don't like to hear that. So for this lesson only, or if you're actually talking about those parts to your family or teachers, you can use them. Otherwise, no potty mouth. This week, you're going to learn all about your digestive system, where your food goes, front to end. You're going to do a completely disgusting experiment on your digestive system, disgusting and cool. You're going to add body parts to your body bag, and you are going to make a special cooking snack, a poop cookie. Yep, you heard me right. Lots to do this week, so let's get started. So taking a look at my shirt here, you can see that I've got a bunch of bones and stuff. We've already looked at that. My liver, this pink thing right here, that's my stomach. And there's some tubes. There's actually tubes up here too, but they're hidden by all this other stuff that come down into the main part of my digestive system is right here. My intestines, my large and my small intestines. So here from the mouth, where it starts, down here into the stomach, the intestines, and out the bottom. That is the digestive system. Now, I'm not talking about pee. Your pee is processed through a different system, although it starts in the digestive system. But we're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about poop, because that's the main product or byproduct of your digestive system. I have here a little model of string to give you an idea how big this system is. First, I have an orange string. That's my mouth. That's about how long my mouth is. Not very long. Next, this gold string is the tube that leads from my mouth down into my stomach. It's about that long. Next comes my stomach. It's about that long, and it's not really a sideways or up and down one. It's kind of at an angle like that. That's how long my stomach is. So far, that's how long my digestive system is. But now comes the amazing part. This brown string, oh my goodness, is my small intestines. If I were to back up, I could probably go across this whole room with this mess. Where on earth is this? How do I fit this in my body? And then this is my large intestines. So my intestines, you can see, are super duper long. My digestive system is really long. Well, this top part actually is right here in my body, but this part is all curled up in the bottom part. And if it weren't curled up, it wouldn't fit in your body. That's amazing, isn't it? Look how long your digestive system is. It takes your food anywhere from 1 to 3 days to make the journey from here all the way down to there. So with that in mind, let's learn about the digestive system by reading a book.
What Happens to Your Food? What Happens to Your Food? By Alistair Smith. What is food for? Without food, your body would stop working, like a car that has run out of fuel. Food gives you energy to move around. Food makes you grow bigger. Food helps you stay strong and healthy. When you are hungry, your stomach feels empty and it might make rumbling noises. If you don't eat, the feeling of hunger grows and grows. And you might start to feel floppy and unhappy, like that guy at the bottom. He looks super cranky, doesn't he? Your food's journey. After you swallow your food, it goes down a long wiggly tube inside you. The food slides down the wiggly tube. It is broken up into little pieces. Your body uses the tiny pieces to keep you going. Let's take a look inside. The food tube starts at your mouth, and the food tube ends at your bottom. Your food tube looks like a little pile of uncooked sausages. It is all curled up inside you. If your food tube were pulled out straight, like that picture on the side with the head at the top, It would be about 4 times as long as you. That's what it would look like. But it's curled up inside you so it all fits. What should you eat? You need different types of food to keep your body healthy. Yeah, we've talked about that. Some foods are good for helping you grow. They also help mend cuts and bruises. Here are some of them. Those are your proteins, your milks, your cheeses, your eggs, your fish. Your body also needs vitamins and minerals. Those are your fruits and vegetables. And some kinds of foods are good for giving you energy, your carbohydrates, bread, rice, pasta, potatoes. What shouldn't you eat? You shouldn't eat things that have gone bad. Food goes bad when it gets old, like that tomato with stinky stink coming out of it. Also, beware of germs in your food. What are germs? Germs are tiny creatures. They are too small for you to see. Some germs can make you ill if you eat them. Well, in this picture, they look like little green aliens. How can you get rid of germs? You can be a germ killer. Making germs really hot is a good way to kill them. That's why you should cook your meat and fish. Now, you don't have to cook fruits and vegetables to get rid of germs. You just have to wash them really well before you eat them. Is it yummy? How do you decide what you want to eat? Well, first you look at it to decide whether you like the look. Like that cupcake looks good, but that cheese with the worms coming out doesn't. You can smell it, like those delicious strawberries. You can remember it. The child is remembering all the hot dogs and ice cream and apples and oranges that the child ate before and thinking that's good. And you can taste it. Give it a lick. Do you like the way it tastes? Making food yummy. You can mix things together and cook them to make a new taste, like that pizza. You can even make things look nice to help you enjoy them, like that fruit sundae with like ice cream on it. Sauces or dressings can make things taste interesting. Ketchup is a big one. And then take a taste. How do things taste? Your mouth is a food masher. It changes the things that you eat into slippery paste, and this paste is easy to swallow. Your teeth chop your food into little pieces. Your tongue pushes the food around inside your mouth, and spit makes the food soft enough to slippery to slide down your throat. About your teeth. You have different types of teeth and they do different jobs. The sharp teeth cut your food up. The bumpy teeth chew and grind, make them into small pieces. Your newborn babies don't have any teeth, as we learned in our skeletal unit, and then you start to grow teeth until you get all 20 of your baby teeth. When you're about 6, you start to lose your teeth, and you will grow 32 bigger teeth instead, and those should last your whole life. So, take a bite. You open up your mouth, chomp chomp, take a bite of that there apple, and you chew it up. Your tongue rolls the chewed food into a ball and pushes it to the back of your mouth. You swallow, and the food goes down your food tube. So, why do you choke sometimes? Well, air goes down your windpipe. We talked about that when you breathe. And that windpipe is shown in front of the food tube. The food tube is the one that's got the yellow blobs going down it, the arrows pointing. And then there's another tube that has the same hole connected to it like a river. That's your breathing tube. And sometimes the food goes down the wrong tube and you choke and cough it out. Your food's next stop on its way down the food tube is your stomach. This is like a big squashy bag. The little picture of the child there, the stomach shown in red so you can see where it is. If you were to put your arms straight, your stomach is about the same level as your elbows. What does your stomach do? Your stomach squeezes and mashes food up, and it pours special stomach juices on the food that helps mash it up so it ends up like a slushy soup. You can see on the top there a big blob of food is plopping in, and then the stomach juices, which are supposed to be those green squirty things, squirt at it like a big sloppity slop, and then down the bottom it goes and out the hole at the bottom. How big is your stomach? If your stomach is empty, it's about as big as the balloon there. But as your stomach can stretch as you get more food, a grown-up's empty stomach is about twice as big as that. So grown-ups have to eat more. Yeah, but eating too much, sometimes you eat and drink too much, and your stomach might decide that it's had enough. And what happens next? Well, your stomach says no. Your stomach squeezes hard and it sends the food back up your food tube. This makes you sick, eating all that stuff. This is also called throwing up. A horrible taste. Food that comes back up tastes horrible because it has a lot of stomach juices in it, and stomach juices are sour. Eating food that has gone bad can also make you sick. It's your stomach's job to get rid of bad food before it harms you. Where food goes next. The slushy food gets out of your stomach through a small hole and it squirts through the hole little by little. Now it goes into the long curled up part of the food tube called your small intestines. If you look at the picture, the littler picture, the small intestines are shown in dark blue. They're not really dark blue, just so you can see where they are. Moving along, the food tube squeezes the food along the way from your mouth to your anus. Your anus is the hole at the bottom. It works kind of like toothpaste being squeezed up a tube. What's that noise? After a meal, you may hear gurgling noises coming from inside you. What's going on? Don't worry, it's only your food being mashed and squeezed through your food tube. Into the small intestines. Here, special juices called digestive juices squirt onto the food. These dissolve the food into even tinier pieces. So the digestive juices are those squirty green things. Digestive juices turn the food into smaller pieces. You can see on the top right, the big blobs of yellow, that's your food coming out through a little tiny door on the bottom that only goes one way. And that makes sure your food goes in the right direction. Where do the food pieces go next? Little food pieces are saying, let's get out of here. The food pieces are sucked out through the sides of the tube. They travel around your body in your blood where they are needed. So we talked about our blood being all over our body, bringing food and oxygen. This is where it gets the food. There are little blood vessels on the outside of your intestines that take the food away and bring it to your body. There is still some leftover food in the small intestines. It's watery and sloppy by now, and this sloppy stuff is on its way to the next part of the food tube. At the end of your small intestines, food is squeezed into the next part of the food tube called the large intestines, which is shown in that picture of the boy as the red wrapping around the small intestines. The large intestines are wider and shorter than the small intestines, and this piece ends at your anus. That's the hole in the bottom of your body. What happens here? The large intestines works like a sieve. It sucks the water out of the sloppy food through the sides. The food left behind gets more solid and sludgy as the water drains out. And if you're curious, that water also gets taken in your blood, which then runs through another part of your body we're not going to talk about called your kidney. That gets turned into pee. What is the sludgy stuff? The sludgy stuff is mostly food that your body can't use. There's still a little bit of water left in the sludgy stuff, and this helps it to slip and slide along. This food isn't sloppy anymore, and it is soft and sludgy. And what happens next? I think you can figure this part out. You let the sludgy stuff out of your body about once a day when you sit on the toilet. Yes, that sludgy stuff is your poop. The food you eat can take up to 3 days to slide all the way through your food tube. It's a long, slow journey, and this is the end of the journey. Although most of your food makes it through in about a day. So the food that you're pooping out today was food that you actually ate yesterday. The end.
So just to touch on something that book said, but didn't really touch a whole lot about, is the fact that in your neck area, there are 2 tubes, and they connect together at the top. Your food tube and your breathing tube, your windpipe and your esophagus for the food and your windpipe for the air. They do connect together at the back of your throat. So if you're messing around or you're moving your head or jumping up and down or wandering around when you're eating, or you inhale suddenly because you're scared, you might actually pull that food, if you have a mouthful of food, into the wrong tube. That will block your breathing tube and it causes you to choke. Not good, we learned from last week, to have food in your breathing tube. And that's why sometimes choke it back out again. When you're eating, don't mess around. Sit down, chew well, and make sure that everything ends up in the right spot.
Disgusting hands-on science experiment time. If you want to do this experiment, here's what you'll need. Some soft bread, crackers, Cheerios, any other kind of food that can be easily dissolved in liquid. Nothing hard like nuts or raisins. You also need a women's stocking or pantyhose, liquid, milk, water, pop, a Ziploc bag. It can be a small one or a large one, a pan so you don't make a mess, scissors, some towels to wipe things up, and then I do have some food coloring if you want to add some fun colors.
Okay, it is now time to start our disgusting science demonstration. That's so cool. Let's do it. First, we're going to start with the top of our digestive system, which is our mouth. Take your Ziploc bag, that's going to be your mouth, and we're going to be super hungry. But I don't just swallow a piece of bread whole, I chew it up with my teeth. So I want you to just rip it with your hands, that's going to be your teeth, into pretty big pieces, kind of like, well, I mean, not so big, because obviously if you swallowed a piece that's too big, you're going to choke on it, aren't you? We learned about that. You have to chew it up. So I'm just going to rip up my pieces of bread, just like I'm chewing them with my mouth. Okay? And then I'm going to put them in my mouth which is my bag. So go ahead and put your bread inside. All right. You know what? I'm a little thirsty. So I'm gonna drink some water. Okay, that was good. I'm still hungry though. Oh, I've got some crackers here. So if you've got some crackers at your house, go ahead and mash some of those in there too. Gotta crush them up with your teeth. You don't have to have graham crackers. You can use any kind of crackers. The idea for this demonstration is to choose food that was gonna break down though. Things like nuts and raisins, they don't break down very easy in this experiment, so don't use those. Oops, still thirsty. Okay, oh, Cheerios, I love Cheerios. Not even gonna worry about crunching those too much. Turns out that you don't even need teeth to eat Cheerios. Babies can eat Cheerios. The saliva, the liquid in in your mouth will actually dissolve the Cheerios all by itself, which is great. All right, and it goes. So, I'm gonna zip that shut for a minute. All right, so that's being mashed up in our mouth. Crunch, crunch, crunch. You can see even just with the spit in our mouth, the water, it's already kind of a sludgy stuff. So that's not so bad. That's gonna go down my throat pretty easy, which is good. So I'll swallow that down. From here, it's gonna go into my stomach. All right. The sludge is in my stomach now. Now comes the stomach juices. You can use more water or leave it as is and add some food coloring. The idea is to make it kind of brownish. I've got some pop here. It's got some bubbly stuff in it, kind of like my stomach juices do. So I'm going to let the pop, which is also brown, be my pretend stomach juices. Okay, you can see it's really, really looking good here. Ooh, wow. Yep, super slurry, sludgy. I better zip that. I'm going to make a big mess. Once it's all zipped, use your hands. This is what's happening in your stomach. Use your hands to mash it into even smaller pieces. Okay. By now, your stomach should be looking pretty good there. Uh-oh. I think I ate a little too much of something that I shouldn't have eaten. Oh no, I ate something bad. What's gonna happen if I eat something bad? My stomach, with its stuff inside and the juices, blah, blah, is going to shoot some of this stuff back up. Borg. Oh no. What just happened? Bleh. That's what just happened. Throw up, vomit, barf, looks disgusting. And it smells even worse. Why is that? Because that stuff is what was in your stomach. The chewed up food and the juices. And it stinks. Not only that, this special stomach juice, this acid in there, burns your throat coming back up. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't taste good. Throw up is disgusting. But you know what? It's super important. Because there are times your body needs to get rid of something. And this is the quickest way, up and out, through the mouth. Whew. Okay, I cleaned up my throw up because who wants to look at that, right? And we're going to continue on. Let's pretend that if you do not throw up and your food is still in your stomach, and now what happens to it? Well, as we learned, it's going to move from here into your small intestines, which is the stuff right here in the middle. And to do that, you're going to need some kind of jar or cup. And then you're going to need your nylons. There they are. I had just some nylons I got at the grocery store here. Some pantyhose. And I'm going to just cut one of the ends off here. Okay. Now the reason you need the jar or the can is because it's kind of hard to hold it and pour stuff in at the same time. So it doesn't matter what it looks like. I'm using a kind of a clear cup here so that you can see what's going on in my experiment. Yours does not have to be clear. So I've made it so that I've got a little area here I can pour my stuff into, because if you'll remember, your small intestines is now going to take out the little food products, the stuff that's going to end up in your blood. In it goes. Wow, that is pretty gross, isn't it? It's going to go through your small and your large intestines. Well, first your small, then your large intestines, but they both kind of do the same thing. They take something out. There's blood vessels going around these parts, and the blood is taking different things. from your small intestines is taking out nutrients, food, which is now going to go to different parts of your body and feed your body. When it moves into the large intestines, it's taking out liquid, water, which will go onto your kidneys and be peed out as pee. You can see in my demonstration here, the reason we use a nylon is because the nylon, if you look super close, has a lot of little holes in it. You can actually see, you can see my hand through it. It's basically just a knit. All right, so here I'm gonna have to squeeze this a little bit, and you can see there is more liquid coming out. Your intestines are little muscles, and they also squeeze the food along, and the liquid and the food nutrients come out. Now you can also see that not everything's gone. Even though I'm squeezing out a lot of liquid here, and a lot of it is going into the cup, there's still a rather big blob of something in my sock. In your body, that would be the nutrients or foods that did not get used by your body. It's extra, it's garbage. And we're gonna have to take that garbage out. Okay, I've squeezed most of it off. That's a lot of liquid. I'm gonna squeeze the last bit by just taking a little towel here. It can be a paper towel. I'm gonna use a non-paper towel. Just kind of squeeze the rest of the liquid, because this is going on in your body too. It's drying out a little bit. There we go. Oh, I think I'm feeling it in my guts right now. I think something's gonna happen. I'm feeling kind of full in my intestines, and my body's telling me that I need to do the last part of my digestive system. I need to go to the potty. Okay, here's my potty. It's just a bowl. Here's the stuff that I've probably peed out. And here, now that I'm going to go sit on my potty, my intestines are going to push all of this stuff into the last part, through the anus, the hole in the bottom, and out comes a big blob of poop. All crushed up, mostly dry, but a little bit wet still. If it's too dry, then it hurts coming out. And sometimes, if you're not feeling well, if there's like germs or diseases in your guts, you know, from germs, this part may not get dried out so much, and you end up with watery poopies, which we call diarrhea. But this is poop. It's stool. It's BM. BM means bowel movement. This is your bowels. Your bowels have moved and created a poop, which, of course, in our case is just Cheerios, graham crackers, and water, and bread. So it's not real poop. It doesn't stink. But that, my friends, is the end of your digestive system. Now, real poop is really stinky, and that's because when it goes through your system, especially through your intestines, there's a lot of stuff in your intestines, bacteria that help to break down that food. And that's a natural part of your body. But, you know, a lot of dead bacteria and moldy, nasty food creates quite a smell. So that little fake poop that I made just smelled like a bunch of mashed up Cheerios. Real poop does not smell great. And real poop has a lot of germs and bacteria that are not good for you, which is why after you use the toilet, you need to wash your hands with soap and water, because you don't want those yucky germs and bacteria that just came out of your body to end up back in your body when you eat. Wash your hands after using the toilet, people. Wash your hands. Now it's time for a super silly video on your digestive system.
When you look down the street, what do you see? The street is overflowing with a lot of machines. Now I don't mean the buses, the trucks or cars. I'm talking about the people, yeah, you know who they are. I'm a machine, you're a machine. Everybody that you know, they are machines. To keep your engine running, you need energy. For your high-powered, revved-up body machine. Your high-powered, revved-up body machine. I'd be a fool if I said that the fuel that we needed to burn was gas. Cause the fuel we use is the stuff called food, and it puts out the power for our machine. You make a stop at the filling station,
fill her up with chicken sandwich to go.
As you start to chew, your body does it. All systems go.
Now that sandwich contains some very important kinds of food energy for your body. The chicken gives you protein, bread, carbohydrate, mayonnaise, fat, and the lettuce has vitamins plus cellulose or roughage. Together, these things help keep your body machine running smoothly.
First the saliva, kinda like a driver.
Move to the rear of the mouth.
But what it's doing, along with deep the chewing, is taking food and breaking it down. Down to the stomach, the food is pushed. The esophagus does its stuff. And the stomach starts.
Look at those moving parts.
As the body machine turns up.
Gastric juices operate on proteins, fats, and carbohydrates.
In the stomach, they do what they do. They take out nutrition and use it for you.
When the cellulose in those leaves, you know, will control the traffic flow.
Helps the food to move along so the good stays in
And the bad gets gone.
I'm a machine, you're a machine. Everybody that you know they are machines. To keep your engine running, you need energy. Or your high-powered revved up body machine. Your high-powered revved up body machine. Then the small intestine does most of your digesting by sending all the nutrients in through the villi,
Which look a little silly.
but act as little vents. The bloodstream passes the nutrients it catches and takes them to the cells, you see. You use what it delivers
And store some in the liver.
for future energy. I'm a machine, you're a machine. Everybody that you know they are machines. To keep your engine running, you need energy for your high-powered revved up body machine. Your high-powered revved up body machine. Your high-powered revved up complicated tune-up fascinating body machine.
Take care of that machine. You've got such a great model there, honey.
Give it the right fuel. High protein, low calorie.
Take it out for a spin every day.
Art project time. Here's the template for your intestines. You should have this from the heart unit, but if not, take a screenshot, print it out. Here are the items you're going to need to add your digestive system to your body bag. You're going to need the intestines template, glue, it could be stick glue or liquid glue, some crayons to color your intestines, I chose green and brown, a rubber band, scissors, a toilet paper tube, well, 2 toilet paper tubes taped together or 1 paper towel tube, 1 baggie, it can be a Ziploc, but it's better if it isn't, masking tape, and of course, your body bag.
The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with our intestines. I guess it's kind of your large intestines on the outside and your small intestines on the inside. We're going to color that. I'm going to make mine look kind of realistic with like green, brown stuff. You can make yours whatever color you want. Okay, I finished mine. You can see down here at the very end, you know what that's gonna be, right? That's poop. But that's all of my stuff all packed on there, ready to go. I've got lots of colors on the inside because everything kind of got mushed up to that gross stuff on the inside. If you really wanted to go to town, you could rip up little pieces of paper and glue them on there to be like food pieces. But in the interest of saving time, I'm gonna go ahead with this. Next, cut it out. Okay, I've cut it out. You'll notice I didn't get too worried about going too close to the edges because it's not going to matter, and I don't want to accidentally cut my intestines up. So, we're ready to add this to our body bag. Here's my body bag. You can see it's coming along nicely. I've got my spine and my ribs from the first week. I've got my heart and blood vessels from the second week, and I've got my lungs from the third week. Now we're going to add our digestive system, starting with our intestines. Now they don't go up here on your neck. Your intestines are not up here, and they're not on my arm, and they're not on my lungs, and they're not on my heart. My intestines are way down here. If this is supposed to be where your tushy is, then your intestines should be right down there, because guess where that stuff comes out? On the bottom. So let's glue it in place. Okay, and they go this way. This pointy thing on the bottom, that's the bottom. That's where the poopy's gonna come out. So I want that facing down, like that. Now let's add our esophagus and our stomach. For this part, you're gonna need your tube. That's gonna be your esophagus. A small sandwich bag, I guess you could use a large one too. A rubber band, if you wanna be able to take the stomach off. Otherwise, you could just tape it. And some tape. So this is going to be our esophagus. It's going to go down into our stomach. I like to make a clear bag. I guess you could use a paper bag, but I like to see what I'm eating. So this is a part you might need some help with. I'm going to take my rubber band and wrap it around 2 times on the top, or on one side. And then I'm going to put my bag over the top and stretch that rubber band. Guess you could probably use a hair tie if you had one. The idea is you just want to make sure, and don't make it tight. You want there to be like a little sack there for things to drop into. If you make it too tight like that, your food won't drop in there. You want it to be loose, like that. Now, like I said, we're going to be dropping some scraps of paper inside to pretend to be food, or I guess you could put real food in there as long as it's not moldy, like Cheerios or chips or something. And I'm going to need to take them out again. That's why I put a rubber band. But you could also use masking tape and go around with masking tape. You'll just have to pull that off later. Now we're going to fix it in place. Esophagus is going to go right there. On our model, it's going to cover up the heart. That's okay. We're going to use some masking tape. And you don't want this thing poking you in the face when you wear your bag, so you don't want it up here. It's actually going to be a little bit below that, right about there. So it's not poking you in the face when you put your bag on. I'm going to get a big piece of tape. Don't tape over the bag unless you don't want to get it off again. I'm going to tape right above where that bag comes in. And then it's going to be a little wibbly wobbly unless I put another piece of tape on. So I'm going to use 2 pieces of tape. And the other one, I'm going to put right at the top, like that. So now I have my esophagus and my stomach and my intestines. Although, truth be told, this is a little bit long. I probably should make it a little smaller because my stomach's above that. Hold that thought. Take the tape off. Let's fix that. Just open that up. I'm going to cut a little bit off. There. Now it's going to go above my intestines where it should go. I have to move that tape. Don't tape your lungs down either. It's getting a little crowded in here. It's kind of like a real body. There we go. I like that better. So now my throat, my esophagus starts below my body bag part, just so I'm not poking myself in the chin. And then it ends above my intestines. So now you can mess around and drop little scraps of food in there and watch them fall into your stomach. In your real body, there'd be some tubes that connect all this stuff. We don't have that, but it looks pretty cool. You could wear it as soon as this part's dry. Give it a try.
Cooking project time. Here's today's recipe. Take a screenshot and print it out.
Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add 1.5 cups of flour to a separate bowl. Our dry ingredients. So there's 1 and a half. Okay, cups of flour. I need 1/3 cup of unsweetened baking cocoa. 1/3 cup of that. Very poofy stuff. In it goes. And I need 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And I'm going to mix this together. And although I have this lovely mixer here, I would not attempt that on that. It'll go flying everywhere. So instead, I'm going to use a whisk and just clean it up. Mix it up. See? Just get it mixed in there. I'm going to set it aside. Next, I'm going to add my sugars and my butter. So I need 1/2 cup of the white sugar. Shucka shucka to make that nice and level. I need 1/2 cup of brown sugar, which I don't shucka shucka because it's more like sand. I have to pack it in there with my already washed clean hands. Should have been the first thing you did. Plop. Ooh, I had a nice little sandcastle. And I'm going to add my 1 stick of butter, my 1/2 cup. Good thing my hands are clean because this is messy. Whoops. There it goes. Oh boy. Ugh, that is messy. Plop. Now I'm going to mix all this up to make it nice and creamy. You could do this with a spoon, but it's probably easier with a mixer. Okay, mine's still a little bit lumpy because I think the butter was still a little bit hard from the fridge, even though I left it out a little bit to soften it. That's okay, it'll all work itself out. Let's move on to the next part. Next, we're gonna add our eggs and our vanilla. Remember, I don't want to add my egg directly to my batter because what if there's eggshells in it? What if there's blood spots in it? I don't want either one of those. So I'm gonna use a cup. I'm gonna knock, knock, open the door. Don't squeeze the egg or you'll make a mess. Knock, knock, knock until there's a nice hole. Put my thumbs in the hole and open the door. Beautiful. No eggshells and no blood spots. And it goes. And then I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of vanilla, but I didn't, this is a quarter. I could do 2 of those. Or I know that my cap is 1 teaspoon. I'm just going to do half of my cap. Doesn't have to be exact on vanilla. That's about half. And it goes. I'm going to mix that up too. So you can see that even though it was a little lumpy before, it's pretty smooth now. Adding those liquids really helped. Plus the warming up in the room helped too. So the last part is to put our dry ingredients in there and mix it all together. There we go. It looks pretty powdery. It's kind of a stiff, dry batter, but don't worry. That's because the butter was not melted. When it goes in the oven, it'll soften up. Time for the next part. For this last part, we're going to make our cookies into our little poop cookies. Now, again, I want to emphasize that this is just pretend. You would never, ever eat real poop. We just learned that that stuff comes out of your body. It's stuff your body doesn't need. Don't put it back in. You'll get really sick. But these are actually chocolate cookies, and they just kind of look like poop. So we need to wet our hands a little bit. Your hands should be clean anyway, but just to wet them down, because otherwise it's going to stick to you. Get a glob of dough, again about the size of maybe a ping pong ball. And then I'm going to actually smash up some Cheerios and stuff, because remember, your poop is full of stuff that your body isn't using, all the extra stuff. So I'm just going to smash some stuff and get it in there like that. You can use pretzels, chocolate chips. At this point, you could put raisins in, I suppose, or fruit. Fruit might be good. The idea is just to kind of give it a little bit of texture there, okay? And then I think you can form it. I have a feeling they're gonna melt down anyway, but if you wanna try to form it now, we can see if that's gonna stay. All right, let's do more of those. Okay, I got them all on there. I have a little over a dozen here, and if you're doing this at school, just doing one of them, getting wet will be fine. If you're doing it this home, you may have to wash and dry in between because these last cookies got really sticky on my hand and I lost quite a bit of dough just stuck to my hand. These guys didn't hold together because by then I was done. Let's see how they turn out though. I'm going to bake them at 400 degrees for 10 minutes. Okay, they're done. They did get a little bit burnt where the butter melted onto the pan because it is a pretty hot oven. So, but don't worry about that. When you pick them up, I did go 10 minutes. And they kept their shape pretty well. I'm impressed. They smell great. And when they first came out, they were super soft. So 10 minutes max. Don't worry about it. And they do get a little brown on the bottom. So, ooh, they look delicious though. Ooh, they look really good. Mmm. Mmm, mmm, mmm. Well, that's all I have this week on your digestive system. Learning about the body is so cool. And you know what? Science is cool.